My name is Clara Vale. I'm 32, and I learned the hard way that some people don't come to weddings to celebrate love. They come to film it. The rehearsal dinner glowed the way good memories do. Warm lighting, clinking glasses, Evan's hand finding mine beneath the table. My mother fussed with menus. My father told the same toast he'd been practicing all week, charming and a little long. I knew where my sister was without looking. Tessa, 26, and surgically attached to her front-facing camera, catching B-roll of centerpieces like she'd paid for them. It should have been a small pause before a big day. Then my phone buzzed in my clutch. Maya, one of my bridesmaids. Clara, check Tessa's TikTok, now. I slid out into the hallway, found a quiet corner beside a portrait of some benefactor who'd clearly never touched the internet, and pressed play. Ruining my sister's wedding for a viral trend. Part 1. Tessa chirped to 50,000 followers, eyes bright, voice sugared. She outlined her absolutely legendary prank, objecting during the ceremony, maybe announcing a fake pregnancy, 4 tears, making it memorable. She laughed. The comments roared. OMG, yes, iconic. Can't wait for part 2. A few dissenters tried to call it disrespectful. They were drowned out by the algorithm's favorite song, Applause. For a moment, the air thinned. Then something in me steadied. I walked back to the table. Evan raised an eyebrow. I put the phone in his palm without speaking. He watched, jaw tightening in the quiet way that meant he was thinking fast, not losing his temper. Is she serious? He asked. Looks like it. What do you want to do? End it before it starts. We excused ourselves, blamed the florist, and stepped into the corridor. I called the venue coordinator. Voicemail. I left a message that replaced my heartbeat with bullet points. There's been a change to the guest list. I'll email details. Do not admit Tessa Vale. She has made public threats to disrupt the ceremony. Back at the table, I didn't say a word to my parents. There's a particular cruelty in letting a small bomb go off under a perfect evening. I wouldn't be the one to light that fuse. They could find out tomorrow, after the vows were safe. That night, under a lamp that made the hotel room look kinder than it felt, I drafted the email. Tessa's headshot, a link to the TikTok, the sentence, add her to the banned list under any circumstances. I hit send. 10 minutes later, the coordinator replied, Understood. Security briefed. This is more common than you'd think. I stared at the ceiling. Evan's hand found mine again. Hey, he said softly. We protected the day. And we didn't feed the algorithm, I said. We slept in a shallow, careful way, like swimmers too close to a rip current. Morning came wearing sunlight and adrenaline. The bridal suite filled with steam from curling irons and teasing laughter. Mom fastened my grandmother's pearl bracelet on my wrist like a blessing. Dad arrived with tissues he just happened to have, tucked in every pocket. Maya adjusted my veil and whispered, I've got eyes on the entrance. If Tessa even breathes near a doorway, I'll text. I nodded, then exhaled, the sort of breath that rearranges a person from the inside. Downstairs, the venue was a living postcard. The aisle runner waited like a promise. Evan, somewhere in a room with his groomsmen, would be straightening his tie with those careful hands. I put my phone on airplane mode and handed it to Maya. No distractions, I said. Not even a fire, she said, grinning. I'll stop, drop, and block. The string quartet pulled the first notes into the air. The doors opened. The procession flowed like it had been rehearsed by angels. When it was my turn, I took Dad's arm. He squeezed once. Ready? He asked, like I wasn't already stepping into the answer. The aisle was a tunnel of faces I loved. At the end, Evan, already glassy-eyed. For a blissful stretch of minutes, there was only the hush of vows forming, the tiny quake in my voice when I said his name. The officiant's words gathered around us like weather. Halfway through, a ripple moved along the back of the room, raised voices, the thud of a decision being enforced. I didn't turn. I held Evan's gaze and let the moment be what it was meant to be, ours. Later, I would hear everything. How Tessa had shown up in a full white wedding gown, not ivory, not cream, but bright white with a cathedral veil, and a bouquet she'd clearly pilfered from the lobby arrangement. How she'd lifted her phone the second her stilettos touched the entry and gone live, narrating her grand entrance to the security guard who said, Ma'am, you're not on the guest list. I'm the bride's sister, she'd said, incredulous. Obviously, I'm invited. You're on the banned list, he'd replied evenly. You're not allowed to enter. Please leave the property. She'd spun, tears spring-loaded. "You're assaulting me!" She'd screamed into her stream when a second guard stepped in to block her path. "My family is inside." The comments rolled. Some viewers finally understood the gravity. This wasn't content. It was cruelty. Others egged her on, hungry for part two. Security gave her two options: leave voluntarily, or the police are called for trespassing. She left, still filming, still crying, white dress dragging through the gravel like a metaphor that wrote itself. But inside, none of that bled into our vows. We said what we came to say, we kissed. We walked back down the aisle as husband and wife while the room stood and applauded the right thing. During cocktails, my best friend tugged Evan aside. He returned to me with a patient smile and a whisper against my temple. Handled. I let out a breath I'd been holding since the rehearsal dinner and laughed. Small, real, almost weightless. The band struck up something bright. My mother's eyes brimmed for the good reason. My father tried to dance and failed in the charming way he always has. For a few shining hours, our wedding was exactly what we had paid for, planned for, prayed for, entirely ours. Somewhere, outside, a camera ran out of battery. We left for our honeymoon the next morning. A small, sun-washed island that promised peace and kept most of it. Evan made me promise to turn my phone off completely. 1 week of silence, he said, just us. I agreed. For 7 days, there was no drama, no notifications, only ocean and sleep. But back home, the internet had already found its next meal. Tessa posted, "My sister banned me from her wedding." Here's what really happened. In it, she sat under perfect ring light, hair curled into soft contrition, voice trembling just enough to seem sincere. She said she'd wanted to surprise me with a funny toast, that I'd overreacted out of jealousy. She claimed I'd always resented her success, that I couldn't stand sharing the spotlight. No mention of the prank video, no mention of the white dress, just a carefully rewritten fairy tale of the poor influencer sister crushed by her controlling bride sibling. While Evan and I clinked glasses under pink sunsets, her story went viral. 200,000 views in a day. Comments split down the middle, half praising her bravery, half calling her a liar. Then someone, maybe a wedding guest, maybe just the internet's memory, found the original video where she said, "I'm going to ruin my sister's wedding for a viral trend." They posted it right under her victim post. It was like watching gasoline meet a match. Screenshots flooded TikTok, then Twitter. Reaction videos popped up overnight. People weren't just mocking her prank anymore. They were dissecting her psychology. Entitled, narcissistic, addicted to attention. By the time Evan and I came home, her follower count had fallen off a cliff. 50,000 to 46, then 42. Her sponsorships evaporated. I didn't even know any of this until my maid of honor, Maya, texted me, "You're trending. Don't worry," in the good way. That's when I turned my phone back on. There were 28 unread messages from Tessa. They started sweet. "I'm so sorry. Can we talk?" Then pleading, "People are twisting everything. Can you post something saying we're fine?" Then angry, "This is your fault. You embarrassed me." And finally desperate, "Please, I'm losing everything. Just one story saying we made up." I didn't respond. She switched tactics, went live crying, claiming I'd abandoned her and ruined her career. Someone dropped the commentary video link again. The comments turned, brutal and gleeful. Tessa deleted the video. People had already downloaded it. That night, Mom called. Her voice was soft and brittle, like it was holding its own tears hostage. "Clara, can't you do something? She's devastated. Says she can't sleep." "Mom, she told 50,000 strangers she was going to ruin my wedding," I said. "And she tried. She didn't think. She thought enough to buy a white dress and go live from the parking lot." Mom fell quiet. "She's still your sister." "I know," I said. "And that's what makes it worse." Dad tried later. Same script. "She's young. She made a mistake." "She's 26, Dad, not 12. They sighed together, the shared sound of people trying to erase consequences with nostalgia. For the next week, I watched from the edges. Tessa's apology tour began. I was wrong, but people misunderstood my humor. Every "sorry if you were offended" made her comment section burn hotter. Evan finally said what I'd been thinking. "She doesn't want forgiveness, Clara. She wants her audience back." He was right. Every new post she made, every attempt to pivot from chaos to inspirational healing, failed. Her followers were there for fire, not reflection. Then she crossed the line again. A new video appeared. When your family cuts you off over a misunderstanding. She cried on camera, claimed I'd refused to even speak to her, that I'd turned everyone against her. For a few hours, sympathy bloomed. People wrote things like, "You deserve better. She sounds toxic." And then someone commented, "Wait, isn't this the same girl who showed up to her sister's wedding in a white dress?" That single sentence was the crack that swallowed the sympathy whole. By morning, her comment section was a battlefield. She deleted the video. Too late. People had mirrored it across platforms. She texted me that night, "Tessa, please just tell people we're good." Me, "We're not." Tessa, "You don't understand what this is doing to me. I can't get sponsors. I'm broke." Me, "You should have thought about that before turning my wedding into content." Tessa, "It was weeks ago. How long are you going to hold this over me?" Me, "Until you understand, it wasn't a joke. It was cruel." She hung up. 10 minutes later, Mom called. "Your sister's having a breakdown. You need to fix this." "I'm not fixing anything. She made this mess." "She's family. She's an adult." Mom started to cry. Dad took the phone, quieter but firm. "Just come to dinner on Sunday. Please, she won't be there. We just need to talk." I hesitated, then agreed. Not for Tessa, for them. Sunday came with the kind of air that smells like rain and arguments. At the dinner table sat Mom, Dad, Evan, and my cousin Lila, the designated peacemaker. Mom started crying before the bread hit the table. "I never imagined my daughter's not speaking," she said. Dad leaned forward. "You've made your point. She's suffered enough." "Has she?" I asked. "She's lost her income, her reputation," Lila said gently. "She's clearly struggling." "I'm not punishing her," I said. "I'm just not pretending everything's fine." Mom's voice cracked. "She's not a bad person." "Never said she was, but actions have consequences." Evan stayed silent until the table's tension started to hum. Then he said quietly, "It wasn't just disrespect to Clara. It was disrespect to me. To both of us. She told thousands of strangers she was going to humiliate us on our wedding day. She showed up in a wedding dress. That's not a prank. That's cruelty." The room stilled. Even Mom had no rebuttal. Lila broke the silence. "That's fair." Dad exhaled, rubbing his forehead. "Just don't close the door forever." "I won't," I said. "But she has to knock, not stream." We left early. In the car, Evan reached over and squeezed my hand. "You okay?" "Better than I thought," I said. "Good," he said, "because this peace, it's worth protecting." Outside, the rain finally fell. Steady, cleansing, final. 2 weeks passed. I didn't hear from Tessa. The silence felt unnatural at first, like a radio that suddenly lost its static. Then, for the first time in months, peace began to sound normal. But peace never trends. One afternoon, Maya sent me a message with a screenshot. "Tessa's new video. I was wrong." The thumbnail showed her in soft lighting. No makeup, tears on cue. The caption read, "A real apology." I pressed play. Tessa said she'd made mistakes and never meant for things to go that far, but the words rang hollow. "If anyone was offended," she sighed, "that was never my intention." She didn't mention the prank, the white dress, or the lies, just vague regret wrapped in vanity. The comments were merciless. "Not you saying sorry if. Girl, you showed up in a wedding gown." Apology without accountability is manipulation. She deleted it after a day. Then came the inspirational content, learning from my pain, how to rebuild when life cancels you. The algorithm didn't bite. Views dropped to hundreds. Engagement flatlined. The world had moved on. But my family hadn't. Mom called again. "She's not doing well, Clara. She can't pay rent." "Mom," I said softly, "I can't save her from the mirror she built." Dad tried next. "She's been applying for regular jobs. Retail. She's humbled." I wanted to believe that word. Humbled. But humility doesn't perform itself on camera. That weekend, Evan and I went through our wedding album, frame after frame of joy, untouched by drama. The first dance. My dad's speech. Evan's quiet grin when I almost tripped on the hem of my gown. Proof that what mattered survived untouched. "I don't regret a thing," Evan said. "Neither do I." But a part of me, smaller now, fainter, still grieved the idea of the sister I thought I had. A few days later, I bumped into Lila at a cafe. She'd just come from seeing Tessa. "She looks tired," Lila said carefully. "She's been talking about getting therapy." "That's good," I said, "if she means it." "She asked if you'd ever forgive her." "Did you tell her the truth?" Lila nodded. "I said forgiveness and access aren't the same thing." I smiled at that. Remind me to buy you coffee every week. That night, I got one more message from Tessa. No filters, no lighting, just text. I'm sorry, not the influencer kind. The real kind. I see it now. I hurt you because I thought attention was love. I was wrong. I stared at the words for a long time. I didn't reply. Not yet. Some apologies are seeds. You wait to see if they grow roots before watering them. Weeks went by. Her TikTok went quiet. Followers dropped below 20,000. Then 10. She posted once more. A makeup tutorial. Nothing personal. No captions about pain. Just normal. And maybe that was the first honest thing she'd shared in years. My parents stopped pushing. My mother still sent group texts about birthdays and holidays, but she never mentioned making peace again. Evan and I settled into our new rhythm. Work, dinners, laughter that didn't require defense. The quiet of two people who refused to be turned into a storyline. One evening, as the sun bled gold through our window, Evan said, "You think she'll ever really change?" I thought for a moment. Maybe. People can. But even if she doesn't, we did. He nodded. And that's enough. I looked out at the fading light. The best revenge, I said quietly, is a life that refuses to become someone else's content. He smiled, the way he always does when I say something heavier than I mean to. Then here's to peace, he said, raising his glass. To peace, I echoed. Somewhere, out in the static hum of the internet, my sister was learning what silence sounds like. And for the first time, I didn't need to watch.